Welcome to Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. This is the audio version of my popular monthly free video series on mental skills in motorsport. I'm your host Greg, and I'm here to share with you practical insights and strategies to help you enhance your mental racing performance both on and off the track. So get ready as we dive deep and explore the mindset behind successful racing, and as we look at practical ways that you can sharpen your racing mental skills performance and gain a competitive edge when you go racing. Let's get started.
Hi everybody, Greg here. I want to talk to you about communication confusion. Oh my goodness me. It covers so many things, communication confusion. There's the simple what's said and what's heard, which is a really simple thing that applies all the time in day-to-day life as well as in racing. There's what we would call predicates and how people describe their experience in different ways. There's also what we know as the meta model, which is these really clear linguistic phrases that we use that can help us give us insight into what people are saying. And when communication doesn't go well, we're usually left with gaps in knowledge, not moving forward, and conflict. So let's have a look at communication confusion. So have you ever been trying to give feedback to your mechanic or your data guy, your engineer, and you just know they've got no idea what you're talking about, you know? Or they're talking to you and you might be getting advice from a driver, coach, or somebody who's using abstract language, which just isn't helpful. It conveys zero information. It's words, it's noise, it's talking, but it's not moving us forwards in any way. So communication is the thing that we've got to use communication in a really smart way. You being the smartest person in the room, which is, you know, one of my favorite sayings is you have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to be able to manage people around you and help them with their communication too. So let's look at some of the things that lead to communication confusion, which can then lead to frustration and a lack of progress on a race weekend or when we go testing. So the first thing we'll just talk about is how people describe things in different ways. Recently I've been speaking to a few people about, and we spoke about it when we reviewed the Colour Well tool, about predicates and how we describe things in metaphors. And my metaphors for what something is like will be different from yours. And this comes up quite a lot of the time when we see the words that are used like aggression, or you've got to be more aggressive. That's confusing to people because everybody has a different definition, a different idea, a different picture, a different sense of what that means. So when somebody uses a word like that, I don't know what that means to them, but I know what it means to me. And so we can get really confused about it because we might actually be talking about two different things. And so we have to try to get clarity about what specifically is meant when they use a particular word. Or if we hear abstract language, or you just got to send it more, or oh yeah, you just got to have bigger kahunas going into that corner, which is the kind of thing we hear. It's words. It's not really telling me anything. It's too vague. It's not specific enough. Send it. What does it? Does that mean carry higher minimum? Does it mean brake later? Does it? Who knows? Does it mean brake earlier, get off it? Does it mean spike the brake and not hold? Does it? Who knows what it means? It's too vague to be useful, and so I end up confused. Because I'm like, well, I'm not quite sure what that means. So I'll end up going out and probably just doing what I was doing before because I've got no further information. Or I'll be guessing at what I should be doing because I'm not clear as to what I should actually be doing. Or if somebody says, you just got to take a wider line there. How wide? How far off from where I am at the moment? It's too vague to be clear. So how people describe things is key in the first point. We've got to ask for clarity and we've got to make sure that we're actually talking about the same thing. When they say aggressive, is that how I think of it? Is that how I picture it? Is that how I describe it? Is it a useful description? What do you mean specifically by that? Give me some idea and try to get the details. So the key question is how specifically, or can you draw it for me, or give me some more detail on that. What do you mean by, and be the master at what we call eliciting information from people. If you want better answers, ask better questions. The one thing I talked about it the other week was that a lot of the time we hear people saying that somebody doesn't have confidence, let's say in a particular corner. The confidence comes from a lack of knowledge, or there's some doubt about what they should be doing, or a competency. I either can't do it repeatedly on demand yet, or I don't know what to do. And the confidence is coming from this thing here. It's not a mental noise, it's a symptom, not the problem itself. So the first thing is get clear about what we're talking about. The second thing about communication confusion is conflict. So nobody likes to be wrong, right? And we've spoken about this many times. We spoke about it when we were talking about teams gaslighting people and just going, nope, nothing wrong with the car or the bike, it's you, without even checking. Nobody likes to be wrong. So the first thing I've got to do is get to the agreement frame. I've got to find something that we can agree on, because then I can work from there into the places where we disagree. So there's no point in starting from a place of disagreement because we just don't agree. So let's find something we can agree on and then narrow it down from there. So think about, so let's say we're struggling with our setup. Well, look for the thing that we can agree on. So I think we can all agree that that last change that we made didn't really make much difference. Boomf, we've got an agreement. Or, yeah, I think we can all agree that there's not much difference between running these tyre pressures or these tyre pressures. We just look for something that we can agree on because it helps to keep the cogs moving, communication moving forwards, rather than stopping it. Then, as the smartest person in the room, you help other people with their communication. Give them space to speak. Ask them for their opinions. We want to elicit more information. Most of you know that I always talk about it like dancing, or when we're communicating, it's like throwing a ball to each other. That I want you to respond to something I say, so I throw you the ball, and I'm hoping that I get the right response that I want from you when you have the ball. And then you say something and you want me to respond in a certain way and you throw the ball back to me. And I'll think about what you've said and then I'll go, well, and it's this kind of, and I've got to think, the phrase is, the meaning of communication is the response you get. If you don't get the response that you want, it's up to you to change how you're communicating to help the other person to respond how you want them to respond. Then there's a few other things that we can use to gain agreement. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and that is what we call compliance and yes sets. So if we can get agreement 3 times, then on the 4th one, we can give a suggestion. And it comes from hypnosis. We use it a lot in hypnosis when we're doing compliance testing, as we might call it. You're going 3 things that we can nod our heads and agree on, and the 4th thing is a suggestion. And when we suggest the 4th thing, we're much more likely to get agreement on it as well. 3 yeses will probably give us a 4th yes as well. But that 4th yes is a suggestion, not a fact. Or not something that we already agree on. Or we go 3 facts and a suggestion, 3 yeses and a suggestion. It really does help to gain agreement again, because when we're in agreement, that's when we move forwards. When we're in conflict, that's when we have problems. And then just a couple of things to watch out for, a couple of bullet points. Number 1 is what we would call universal quantifiers, always and never. Watch out for people saying, you're always doing this. Always? Have I never not done it? Or you never do something. Never? Haven't I done it before? Or didn't we do it last time? Or watch out, because it's a sign that people are generalizing and they're not necessarily thinking clearly or logically about things. They're making sweeping statements. Same for yourself. If you notice that you say to yourself, oh, this always happens to me. That's probably not true. It's just we're emotive in that moment. So watch out for universal quantifiers. Then there's the other ones, modal operators of necessity, when people say you should or must do things. Now, I could, or I get to, or I can do things. It's a much better way to phrase it. When we have shoulds or musts, it is very limiting. It's something that, listen for people when they're saying shoulds or musts or coulds or gets. A modal operator of necessity, which would be a should or a must. There's lots of baggage attached to it because it's who says, is it the only way to do it? Is it that it builds resistance again? Whereas a modal operator of possibility says, well, we could do this. We might do this. We can do this. It's a much more optimistic, forward-focused, positive thing. And then one of my favourites, again, I was speaking to somebody about this recently, presuppositions. A presupposition presupposes that something is either true or something's going to happen. So you might say to somebody, well, will we run this setup this time and this one next time, or this one this time and this one next time? The presupposition there is we're only going to be trying these two things, and one is going to be now and one is going to be later. So if you want something to happen, you can put a presupposition in there to narrow down people's choices. It gives us an illusion of choice. So if I say, would you like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? You're more likely to choose one or the other rather than think to yourself, well, I don't know if I want a drink. Right? It's what we might call the illusion of choice. I'm presupposing you're having a drink and it's going to be this or this. I'm not saying, would you like a drink, and then all the options and possibilities. I'm saying you're having a drink and it's going to be this or this. And it really helps us to direct people's actions and help people if they're not sure. We all know that we all like other people to make decisions for us. A lot of the time when we're making decisions in life, we ask, well, what do you think? And we already know what we want to do or what our opinion is, but we want somebody else to. So a lot of the time using a presupposition, using what we call yes sets in there, can really help other people to reach the decisions that they want to make quicker. So communication is such a skill, it's such an art, and that's not even counting non-verbal communication and things like when we're doing the big dog. So think about your communication with the people around you. Listen to what they say. Are they abstract? Are they specific? Do they really know what they mean? Because sometimes when somebody's telling you how to do something, they're abstract because they don't actually know. But that's simply fixed with how specifically. Can you draw it for me? Show me. Give me more detail. And then greasing the wheels with agreement frames, yes sets, even tag questions that we covered in previous videos. Making sure that we're moving forwards. We're listening for people and ourselves using universal quantifiers, modal operators of necessity that narrow our ability to have choice, to make decisions, and to move forwards. So if you are in the paddock and you've experienced frustration with the people that support you or your team, your engineers, your mechanics, and you notice that you're getting into conflict with them, you've got to be the smartest person in the room. You've got to clear up that communication confusion. If you want better answers, ask better questions, communicate better, and make more progress. So any thoughts, any comments, any questions about communication confusion, just let me know and I'll speak to you next time. Take care. Bye.
And that wraps up another episode of Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. I hope you found this month's topic valuable in your journey towards peak performance in your racing. To stay updated with the latest content, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter, download the app, and subscribe to the blog. Just visit motorsportmind.com or follow the links.